Deb here, your spiritual cheerleader and mentor. Welcome to Greater is Jesus in Me YouTube channel. And you know what to do. Subscribe now. And friends, today we have a special guest, Christina. Hey, Christina, how you doing?
Loving life right now. I'm loving life. Yes.
So, Christina, one of the things that I also have on my channel description is that we are also going to smile and laugh.
Of course.
And that is Ecclesiastes 3:4, where it says there's a time to laugh. Mm-hmm. And that is why you are here. Because I heard of you from a dear friend of mine, DJ Good Times. He told me about you, and I said, no, I need to have her on Greatest Jesus and Me YouTube channel.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the invitation.
So we are going to jump right into this conversation. So you are a clean comedian. What exactly does that mean?
Thank you for asking. Actually, I label myself as a clean comedian. Not that I am ashamed of telling people that I'm a Christian. I'm definitely a Christian. I'm a believer. I grew up in church. But comedy, for me, I chose to say clean because when it comes to getting booked and getting gigs, I think for people in the secular world, if they hear Christian, they're going to think you're boring. You're only going to talk about Jesus stuff. Now, I do talk about Jesus stuff in a roundabout way. The word said make the gospel attractive. So I'm not going in there face Jesus. But I label myself as a clean comedian because I think it helps me to get booked more. Instead of just being booked inside the church, it kind of expands my horizon. So that's really the only reason I use clean comedian. And I know that there are some people who claim to be clean, but they use some things that aren't necessarily clean. I'm who I am all the time, every time. So that's what I say. When I say clean, yeah, sometimes when I go to the church, I talk Bible stuff because they can relate to that. But if I'm in a secular environment, I may take a little bit of the Jesus out and give it to them in a different way, and I'll still have them laughing. So that's what I mean when I say I'm a clean comedian.
Mm-hmm. And you know, we all have our roles in the sense of ministry, and Absolutely. God can use us in different ways, and He's using you in this way to bring laughter to different people, and you just Absolutely. Never know who you're going to touch and how you're going to touch them. So that is awesome. So tell us about yourself, how you started comedy, when you started. Just tell us about you.
Well, I'm usually very bashful when it comes to talking about me, but I'll give you a little something. So for me, comedy was birthed, believe it or not, it was birthed out of a place of insecurity. And I thank God that I'm able to talk about this now without shedding tears, because growing up, I didn't like Christina very much. I was very insecure, very broken, right? And so my way of getting people to laugh with me and not at me was to make jokes. I started off making jokes about myself, just kind of getting the negative attention off of me. And so that's really how it all started, probably when I was third grade, fourth grade. Like, I was always just kooky, just ha. Really, I was masking the pain that I had inside. And then as I got older, got into my senior year in high school, I was nominated class clown. I was like, okay. And then I was like, people would always say, you're so funny. I'm like, really? So I was always acting up, cutting up. And then it just kind of grew into me. And so I had a book that I was writing years ago, was called Comedy as a Cover-Up, because I was covering up my pain. But now the book that I'm writing now is called Stand Up in Confidence and Communicate with Clarity. So as I look at my journey over the years, while I used comedy for many years to cover up my pain, now I'm able to laugh all the way to the bank through my pain, if you get what I'm saying. So it's been challenging, though. It's been challenging. I think it's fair to say a lot of comedians have battled depression, low self-esteem. Those were the things I struggled with. But as I've learned to come into myself, and as God has given me permission to use my comedy to heal others through hope and humor, to get healthy. Oh, I'm in a good place now, honey. Oh, yes. So I'm enjoying my gift. I know who I am. I'm standing in the confidence of it. And I love it when people come to me and they're reciting some of the stuff that I've said during my show. So I'm like, yep, got them. Yes.
But that is a uplifting testimony, because and you also make me think of other comedians, which is, we have known of comedians who have committed suicide and so on. People say to themselves, hey, we thought that person makes us laugh, and we thought that person was a happy person, not understanding that behind that there's a broken person.
Oof.
You know, so that is it is just a testimony of how God can use your gifts, and that you use that gift to help you in your insecurity, and now it has made you secure when you are helping other people and bringing laughter, because we need laughter in this world. We really need to laugh.
We do. We do. And you said something that's so key. Sometimes you'll see people, they're dressed from the head to the toe, and you think, oh, they got it.
Yes.
But we never know the internal battles that people are having. And so I think for me, I'm just really grateful that I can laugh in one instance and cry in the other. I can cry in one instance and laugh in the other, because one of the things that I'm glad God allowed me to do is not take myself so seriously. And I think some of us, if we could get to that place to learn to look at ourselves and laugh at our mistakes, laugh at some of the things we've gone through, because guess what? You know, you fall down, but you get back up. And then you learn the lessons, what not to do going forward. And so this place right now for me, when I tell you there is a peace and a joy, sometimes I cry just because it's just so good, you know? So I'm just grateful.
Preach.
It's the truth. It's the truth. And Deb, there was a time where, I kid you not, I cried for 6 months. Depression, heartache, heartbreak, loss of jobs, like just so much turmoil. And I was like, God, what is this? And I said, I just want to be able to wake up and just feel just a lightness. So I go to bed laughing now. He wakes me up in the middle of the morning, 2:00, I'm laughing. I get up and I don't have this heaviness anymore. And I'm saying, God, you
is God.
I mean it. I mean it. And so that's why it's so important for me to really just get inside of people and let them see, you know what? You don't have to stay in the situation. You don't. You don't. So I get excited too. So let me calm down.
But you know, you are a living testimony of hope.
Thank you.
There's hope. There's hope, no matter how bad you might feel. It doesn't, no matter how bad things might look, there's always hope. And trust in God. God will get you through all these things and let you shine like how you are shining.
You better say it. I'm looking at you shining too. Okay. So, you know, it's true. It's true. And I remember when I first moved to this area, and that was one of the scriptures that I held on to. I forget the chapter, but it talks about hope does not disappoint us. And I've always said, as long as I can hold on to hope, as long as I can hold on to hope.
Yes. Yes.
So I've held on to it, but there have been dark days, but he has pulled me out. So my encouragement to you, if you're listening, don't give up. God's got you. He's got your back, your front, your middle, your side. Just trust him and just have hope. Hope does not disappoint us.
No, it does not. Woo, girl. Woo, you got me hot up in here.
Up in here, up in here. Yes.
Oh boy. So you have a stage name. What's your stage name? And how did that come about?
Okay, so I'm going to give you the little story about that. So my stage name is, I go by Christina Ellavation Wilson, a.k.a. Comedienne, Ella, the Spella, the phenomenal storyteller. And so I love the name Ellavation. And two of my friends, oh gosh, I forgot Eric's last name, Eric and Marcus. We used to go to church together years ago. And they were at my house and they were rap artists, Christian rap artists. And they were trying to come up with something. I was like, let me do the elevator. And they was like, no. And I was like, okay, so they came up with Ellavation. I was like, I like it. Because elevating, when you get on the elevator, it takes you higher. And that's what I want to do with people. So, and then because I'm a storyteller, I said, well, I want to elevate people by telling stories. So then Spella was born. But Spella was birthed out of my grandmother when I was younger. She used to, like at Christmas time, I remember her telling my aunt, go out to the car and get the candy. I was like 8, 3rd grade. candy. I said, oh, she's spelling candy. So that's when I found out Santa Claus wasn't real. Because the candy, I said, okay, Grandma, you're not slick. And then the other part of this, I have friends, their mother, every last word of what she would say, she would spell it. She would spell it. She'd ask you, how you doing, Today? And I thought it was kind of Strange. So I said, I'm doing Fine. How about wow you? And that's where it came from. And so I've just stuck with it. But it also gets people attention because you want to see if they're paying ATTENTION when you're TALKING. Mm-hmm. So that's how Spella was birthed. And then I've always got a story to tell. So I combine the spelling with the storytelling, and that's how I embellish, my stuff, and I connect with my audiences. So I'm just having a ball.
I can tell.
Yes, honey. So that's how Spella came about. And Spella just came back from Louisville, Kentucky yesterday. And then I was in Fayetteville, North Carolina on Friday, just spelling and talking to the people. And I had an absolute blast. So that's a little bit about Spella.
Okay. So where are you going now? Because you said you were in Kentucky.
I was in Kentucky, yeah. So one of my friends, he just got his doctoral degree. So he asked me to come down and MC, and that was great. And then on that Friday night in Fayetteville, they have this thing called The Gathering. It was a phenomenal experience. I was like, okay, guy, you calling me higher. So it was great. So I know this weekend I'm going to a girls' night out. I'm not performing. I think they're going to try and ask me to, but we'll see how that works. And then later on in the month, so last month I did a movie that was cast out of Brandywine, Maryland. Oh. I only had a small part. This was my role. Right? So they're going to have a red carpet premiere. I want to say on the 24th of this month. And then next month, I'll be going to Richmond. Another weekend in October, I'll be doing another personal party. It just doesn't stop. It just not stop.
I'm just awesome.
I'm in my season and I get it.
So you do different types of events. People can book you for different things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, and I think maybe you and I were talking earlier, I like to stay in a clean environment because sometimes when you get out and you accept gigs, you're not really 100% concrete, you'll end up finding yourself in a situation that's not conducive. It's kind of like, not that I'm judging, but some places are just not where I want to be.
Right.
I try to go and do my thing, and sometimes it's hit or miss, and I've had a couple of those. You kind of pedal out to get yourself out, but you realize if it's not working, if it's not my group, so to speak, and I mean clean Christians, it's a little bit challenging because sometimes people are looking for raunchy, and I don't go there. I don't.
I know.
I don't. Yeah.
Girl,
you understand where I'm coming from.
The truth is, there is something for everybody. If there are people that like that kind of comedy, there's a lot out there. There are people that like clean comedy. Then there are people like you. The thing is, there are choices. And that's the beauty of this world we're living. We have choices where we can go somewhere and feel comfortable and have fun the way we want to have fun. Individually, everybody's different. Hey, you want to do your stuff, you do your stuff your way. I want to do my stuff my way. Let me do me,
Let me do me.
Let me do me.
Let me do me, right. I will say this, though. Sometimes God gives me a boldness when I go to these places that I'm not so comfortable with. I bring them into my world. And so whether they may have a sip in their hand or whatever, it may not be the normal crowd, but sometimes God uses us to get in those environments because there's somebody there that needs to hear what I have to say.
Amen.
So I bring them into my world. I'm not ashamed to talk about Jesus. Sometimes like I do it on an undercurrent, right?
Right.
But I still get the word out.
Hey,
and
that's it.
If you want to hear it and you receive it, great. If not, it's all good.
Yep. That's what we got to do. Get out and go to different places and get the word out on Jesus. Hey, when did you actually start your professional career? Because you said you started from 3rd grade. That was very young. But then now, when did you actually really start getting into this as a profession? And what lessons have you learned?
Okay, so I moved to the Northern Virginia area in 1997. And I remember I got booked to do a show in Herndon at a church. This was probably 2001. And they only asked me for 15 minutes, but they paid me $300. I don't do math real good, but I said, if I can get up here and crack people up for 15 minutes, so that's $100 per 10 minutes. And at the time I was making $3.35 an hour, okay? I said, wait a minute here. So after that, I started getting booked little by little. Sometimes I was doing free stuff to get myself out there. But I'll say it started to happen around 2008. 2008, I took a challenge. I went to this place in Maryland. I think it was called New Horizons Church. And I went and I was scared, but I got out there. I just let it go. I got a standing ovation. I said, I'm on to something. So from 2008 up until 2022, the bookings have not stopped. But there was a time that still dealing with some of my stuff, the insecurities came back. They had never really left completely, but you know, sometimes when you're with other people, you start to compare yourself, start to feel like you're not good enough. Oh, you should do this. And so I went through a phase where I had some things going on and became angry, and my comedy came a little bit dark. Like I was making jokes and stuff, but it wasn't uplifting. It wasn't what I normally do. So I got back on track, got back out there. Probably over the last year and a half, I've really come back strong. The last 6 months to a year, I'm on my grind. I know who I am now. I know what my calling is. And so when you ask me what lessons have I learned? Number one, to thine own self be true. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Nobody has this deep, raspy voice like me.
Yes.
Nobody can rock the stage like Ella the Spella. You know, I am confident who he has created me to be. So the lessons, a few of the lessons that I've learned is just loving on me, being me, self-care, self-love. Those are the things that I've learned along the way. I've learned also not to take things so personal. I've learned to speak to understand or listen to understand before I can expect to be understood. Because it's very easy to misconstrue something if you don't have all the facts. You know, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. I got a big one, but he wants me to do more of this. And so I think the other lesson is learning how to forgive myself. So it makes it easier for me to forgive other people.
Oh, yes, that's a good one.
And so, Deb, I don't sweat the small stuff anymore. I learned this from a colleague. When somebody comes to me with something, I listen and I say, okay, thank you. I eat the meat, I spit out the bone. And I make sure that my countenance is not one that's being facetious. Because, you know, we can get here and do the, no, that's not the heart. So I'm like, okay, maybe I don't like what the person said. I'm going to eat the meat of it and spit out the bone. And, you know, that's pretty much the gist of it. You know,
well, you said quite a few things. But one of the things I wanted to ask, so during the pandemic, how did that affect your bookings and stuff?
That's a good question. Actually, it did. Probably for the first, 4 or 5, maybe 6 months, there was nothing happening. And then I heard people talk about virtual. And I was like, ooh, virtual. Yeah. So I did a few. The first one was so weird because, you know, I'm sitting down and comedians, we stand up. So it was a little bit weird. And then I said, Christina, okay, just bring the people into your world. Do the same thing. You're sitting down. Just have a conversation and make it funny. And that's what I did. And I probably got about, maybe 5 or 6 bookings. And it worked out, but it's nothing like being in people's faces, going up to them, talking to them, and having them to talk back to you, you know? So yeah, but virtual does work. And a lot of comedians, that's how we stayed afloat during the pandemic, you know?
Yeah, you had to adapt, adjust, reinvent yourself during the pandemic.
That's it.
Everybody had to do that.
Yes.
And then you said a few things that really I want audience or friends to really zone into, because you talked about comparing yourself, which is one of the things many people do, and it's so detrimental. Mm-hmm. Because the truth is, you don't know what's really going on in that person's life. You only see one side, and you don't know all the things that they have. Because the truth is, everybody got something going on. Every one of us.
Come on,
has something going on. And I'm here and I'm smiling, but you don't know what's going on in my life. Mm-hmm. So you can't go by how I look. Oh yeah, mm-hmm. She laughed. No, you don't know. You don't know. So that's the first thing. That comparing.
Facts. Yeah.
And I'm glad that you realized that it wasn't healthy.
But it took me years to get to that place. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Like one of the things I did a YouTube video probably about 2 months ago. I came out of the wig. I didn't know I was hiding behind the wig, but I wasn't taking good self-care. I wasn't taking care of my hair. So I was putting on the wig, covering it up, but underneath it, it was like the heart. You understand what I'm saying? Finally, I think I ended up I ordered some hair from Amazon. I spent maybe $80, $90. And God was like saying, you keep spending money for hair. I've given you hair. And so when we talk about covering up and comparing, I'm like, Christina, just be okay with who you are. Yeah, you got a big head, but you know what? You also have hair. So be true to yourself. Just because it may not be long and curly doesn't make you less of a person or more less irrelevant. You are who you are. Rock it. And I see you wearing your short crop too. We are good.
I'm telling you, good. But let me tell you, all what you said is in this book right here, Women.
Is that right?
Everything, and that book is about uplifting women. And here we're talking to men and women, but everything I talk about, that comparing, I'm talking about being yourself, all that stuff. So folks, I'm going to take this opportunity. Make sure you get Women, because everything Christina is saying is up in that book, okay? Yeah. And then the other thing you talked about is not to take things personal. And many times that happens, even in the workplace. It's about work. You're talking about work, and people start to take things personal, and they start to harbor certain feelings. And don't take yourself seriously. You need to be able to laugh at yourself, especially in your business.
Right. You know, this goes back to lessons learned. Deb, I'm telling you, I was a very, very broken woman. And I was a hot mess. I'm going to be honest. I thank God for allowing me to see myself, but I hurt a lot of people in my brokenness. I didn't know any better. And so, you know, I have learned to take accountability for myself. And we just don't know what people are going through. But here's the beauty is that when you I used to watch Iyanla Vanzant Fix My Life all the time. And I would always, I had a girlfriend who would always ask me, what's the root of, you know, you doing what you're doing, or why do you feel the way you felt? I never really had the nurturing and the love I needed as a young girl. And so I made mistakes. I was out here and I made mistakes. And I only share that because I know that there's some other women that I've spoken to who have done the same things.
Oh, yes.
You know,
oh, yes.
You know what I mean? And so the journey has been painful, but it's been an opportunity to learn and grow.
Yes.
And as I grow, I want to be able to encourage other women and to say to them, don't take things so personal. Maybe the way this person said that has nothing to do with you. That's them. So you have to, as my grandma said, sometimes you got to love people, because people have loved Christina in that way when I was difficult. I'm still a piece of work now, honey. But but I check myself so that I don't wreck myself or anybody else.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, this place that I'm in right now, I just want to just give it to everybody. I just want to give them a little bit, you know?
I love that. You check yourself so you don't wreck yourself. Hey, folks, that's a good one right there. That's a good tip. And the last thing you talk about, not the last thing you talk about, but one of the things that you talked about is forgive yourself. Many folks don't do that. They're always talking down to themselves, not liking themselves, not forgiving themselves. They can forgive other people, but they are not as forgiving to themselves. And that is detrimental for the person, their self-esteem, their self-confidence, and all that.
Deb, I don't think you can really truly forgive other people if you haven't forgiven yourself. It's like you're being a fraud. That's me how I know, right? You know, it's so funny because I have often said to myself, sometimes I will go out and buy people gifts, spend money, but I won't do it for me. That's being a fraud. How can I celebrate you if I can't celebrate me?
Hey, hello.
Yeah. So for me, the forgiveness, oh gosh, this is probably another conversation that we need to have. But
yes,
I was so critical of myself. I was a self-sabotager. I remember one of my pastors saying one time that sometimes we are so accustomed to abnormalities that when things are normal, we don't see it because we don't recognize it because of all the abnormalities. I was just dysfunctional for so long. I laughed. Yeah, dysfunctional. Like it was chronic. And so, and this forgiveness thing for me, when I tell you recent, probably this year, like honestly, I've been working on it, but then I just decided, you know what? I'm going to forgive myself because forgiveness is sexy. Okay. Forgiveness is the new sexy in Jesus, honey. Okay. Forgiveness gives you a glow. I look at myself, I said, girl, look at you. Okay. I don't care what you think about me, how you think my hair look or don't look. I'm doing Christina right now. And as a result of forgiving myself, Deb, I'm telling you, I'm smiling more than I ever have. I just have this joy when I meet people. I never meet a stranger. And it's because I've taken that negative energy. God has taken it away. I realize who I am in Him. And I realize the gifts and talents, the skills and the abilities that I have.
Yeah.
To give to other people. I'm just grateful for the gift of forgiveness because forgiveness is not always for the other person. It's for you.
Yes.
And I receive it.
Look,
you know what I'm talking about.
You have me so excited here. Look, I'm trying to contain myself because, folks, this is good stuff. This is good stuff for people to hear this. All of this is great stuff. And when you started out, you were talking about Psalm 139, and I'm going to put that in the description too, about being wonderfully made and embracing that, understanding that you are wonderfully made. Do you, love you.
Yeah.
That's self-care. And I'm so excited and happy for you because it is a journey. It is a journey. It doesn't happen overnight.
It's right.
But it's a journey. And you are on that journey and you are just shining. I see the glow and that beautiful smile, and that's what you're taking to people.
Praise God.
Woo!
Yeah.
Look, you have me. I need to do some planning up in here.
We're getting it from each other, Ms. Deb. We're getting it and giving it to each other.
You got me hot. This is good stuff. So, and is there anything you would do differently? I know we talked about a lot of things, and I think you touched on, but is there anything specifically you do differently?
I think we just talked about it. Basically, to do something different, it would be to just embrace myself more, to embrace who I am, to accept the deep voice, to accept the body weight. This is who God created me to be. And granted, I could stand to lose a few, but I'm still good. So would I do anything differently? I'd love Christina and accept Christina just as she is. I would learn to let go of stuff and not take things or myself too seriously. Yeah, so those are things I would do differently. I would love more on purpose. I would give and serve more on purpose. And I would stop self-sabotaging because that didn't serve any purpose. So yeah, and then I think the other thing too would be, I wish I had more exposure. Like, of course, when you're insecure, you don't want to be around people. Right. You're afraid people are going to see you. But it's amazing to me that even as insecure as I was, God still put me on platforms in front of people. And then I would share with people, like, this is what I'm feeling about myself. They said we would never know. That was because the Holy Spirit had covered me. And I'm like, wow, this was God, it wasn't me. Because, I'm telling you, my esteem was at a place where it was in the gutter. But look at what God has done today. Ain't he good?
And you know what? And people didn't know that because you were out there cracking jokes, laughing. And they're probably thinking, oh, she has all that self-confidence and look at her and she's not knowing what you were going through inside here. But thank God, that is no longer there. All that negative energy has been transformed into positive energy.
Yes. And you said the word transformed, and I want to piggyback on that because one of the things that I want my comedy to do is transform people. And so while I do comedy, God has given me a platform to speak. And so my heart and my goal is to transform people's hearts, to get them healthy through humor, but to also to transform their lives and their thought process. The Bible says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you're able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. That's Romans 12:2.
That's one of the verses I have in as a description of my channel. So girl, you're just confirming everything God has put in me.
This is great. This is great.
Renewing of the mind.
Yeah. Yeah, you change your mindset, you change your life.
Yes.
You know? So.
Wow. And so what are your aspirations? I know you talked much about it, but.
Yeah. I really have a heart for women. And I know that, like we said earlier, so many of us have gone through stuff. Everybody has their own struggles. I really want women to know that we are enough. And not just women, because men are watching too. And I've talked to some men who, confess some things and they have their struggles. So you can look at them and they can be, 6'2" or whatever, dressed to the nines, but they got stuff, they've got trauma they haven't dealt with.
And insecurities too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny that you said that. I don't know if I should share this, but I spoke with a gentleman about a month ago, and he was one of these on the outside. Oh, he was fly. He was fly. Talk loud. And I was like, that's a cover up. We actually ended up having a sit down. This brother was shedding tears, some of the things that he told me. And I was like, wow, you just don't know what people are going through.
Yes.
So my aspiration, my heart, my goal, and my soul is that God will let me use my voice, to use my passion, to elevate people to the next level, to lift them up, to hoist them, to just encourage and promote them to the next level, to let them see who they are and whose they are in Christ, right? Because sometimes we lose sight because of things that happen. That doesn't change what God's plan is for you. Come on, Jeremiah 29 says, oh God.
Come on, girl. Come on.
For I know the plans. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord.
Yes.
Plans to prosper you and not harm you. Plans to give you hope in a future.
Yes.
And so I just pray for every person that sees this video, that you know that you are special to God, that God has a purpose for you. And I will say, I have run from comedy for years. I ran from it. But when I submitted and I said, okay, God, I'm going to do it, I promise you the doors opened. And I'm like, I just want people to know that you are important, you are valuable, you have what it takes. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. There's nobody like you. Nobody. So embrace in that and just Do you. Go big, honey, or go home, okay? Yeah.
Whew, girl, yep. Those are the words. Folks, hold on to those words. Those are words for you, and embrace them and make them yours. The same way how you have made it yours. You believe it. You believe in those words. Make those words your reality.
Praise God.
Yeah. So now, what tips would you give any aspiring comedian?
Ooh, what tips?
Or any advice?
It's interesting that you said that I am completing a comedy workbook journal. I don't know when it's going to come out, but I've completed it. I got to get it to editing. But again, I'll go back to what I said earlier, to that own self be true. If you know that you've got a gift, if you believe in your abilities, go after it. Don't listen to the negative chatter. Lisa Nichols talks about that. Don't listen to the negative chatter. Sometimes you are your negative chatter. Don't listen. Study other comedians that you aspire to be like. Write down a little comedy routine, even if it's just 2 minutes. Write some stuff, video yourself, share with your friends, get feedback. Go to an open mic, in your local area. Go get on stage, because you won't know what you've got if you just keep it all to yourself. So, in the words of Nike, just do it. Just do it.
Just do it. And I like what you said. Sometimes we talk ourselves out of stuff.
Absolutely.
What you want to learn to do is talk yourself into stuff. So,
absolutely.
Yep. That's good stuff right there. I really appreciate all this stuff, good things that you have given us. Folks, I've seen enough to know how funny you are, because even though the conversation was serious in some parts, you still were able to bring a smile and laughter.
Bless you.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with our friends and letting people see a side of you which many of us can relate to.
Absolutely.
And especially, and knowing that you, as a person that bring laughter, you also had your moments, and you're still gonna have your moments, because we're human.
That's right.
Of things,
but we know how to handle them differently, though.
Yes.
We know how to handle them differently.
Yes. So, folks, y'all have heard Christina Ellavation Wilson, a.k.a. Ella the Spella. And yes, I was watching your videos before we talked, and I was cracking up.
Oh God, I'm glad. I just want to say thank you. This has been incredible. You are a fantastic interviewer. I felt like I've known you for years. So thank you for allowing me to, be able to come and join you this morning. It was great. And I hope we'll be able to do it again.
Yes, surely, because I think there's some key things that we talked about. We kind of didn't go in deep, but I would really like to talk to you about it, because I know there are a lot of people that are going through the same thing, and you are a voice of encouragement. And
bless you.
You can uplift men and women with
Amen.
Your testimony. Everybody's journey is going to be different, but at least, as we talked about hope, there is hope. Look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah.
So, folks,
Wow.
all of Ella the Spella information is going to be in the description. So if you want to book her for any of your events, whether it's please, a party. I know my good friend had you for his 50th birthday party.
That's correct.
It was a blast. And I know you're doing different events. So, folks, hey, we need laughter in our lives. Absolutely. We need laughter in our lives. So, any last words for our friends?
Last word. Wow. Gosh, there's so many things I can say. The one thing I will say is, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So whether you want to start a business, whether you want to be a pilot, if you think you can do it, you can. If you don't think you can, you won't. So be encouraged with that. Those are words by Henry Ford.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Christina, again, Thank you so much. And friends, remember to go to Great is Jesus in Me YouTube channel. And you know what to do. Subscribe now. Be blessed. And until next time.